Hey Anko, how you doing? Hey Joe. Hope you guys are doing well. Hey Razil. Right. So what do we have? Oh, I just need to put my trades out. I took a change from a under to 8 cap here. So my original shorts were up in this area here. Stops were above there. And I had targeted, I believe, the 70 to 79% on the flip, which was here. And then I had my buys on the flip of this. Stop loss was there. And close my position here. So that's the trades for the day. Indeed. Good. Great catch. So now with gold, so if we look at gold is so it's in a bit of a funny range now. Why do I say that? Because we had a 4-hour change of character, or 4-hour break of structure to the top side. Previous high, low, broke that, pushed up to the top side. So we are due a deeper correction into like an area of demand before we see the next push up, because we did have a daily pullback into these ranges here, and then price started to shift bullish again. So the overarching momentum in price is to the top side, but after that 4-hour break, what can we expect? We can expect a 4-hour pullback. So currently price is bouncing around in this area of demand over here. Now we got to be mindful that internal structure is still pretty bearish in this pullback, but this is the pullback area where if price is going to continue bullish, it must happen from this point. You can see we had a breaker structure here, another one here, another one here, and here we currently haven't had one. So higher time frame pullback is kind of complete within this region in these lows here, and in order to start buying this with confidence, we need to see a break above. We need to see a break above and then start to trade this up. Till that point, what is price doing? It's creating these lower highs and then lower lows coming into it. There's our last lower high, sorry. We haven't yet broken this low, so now we're kind of in that range. So price could really go either direction. Higher time frame, this is the pullback complete for like the M15 structure, but as we discussed, the 4-hour has had a breaker structure to the top side, so the 4-hour range is this low and this high. So this area might not hold up, and we might see price break through this to tap into some areas of demand. So we got to be mindful of that. And again, I think I mentioned it on a 15-minute chart. If we look at our fib, we have a perfect demand zone sitting at 1914, 1912, where eventually price can pull back into. But in order for me to have confidence that we're going to continue down, mitigate this demand, and further down here, we need to see this low broken, because this was the last pullback we had before price pushed to the top side, and all of this here is the retracement from this impulsive move to the top side. So now where price is, we have to be very careful. It could do anything. It could either fulfill that pullback, which is within this range, and then start to push off to the top side, or this area might not hold. We've already had the reaction from this extreme zone, and we could just break through and then continue bearish. So just be very careful. Right now, you know, what's price doing? Price is just bouncing within supply and demand now. You know, and again, why did I end up taking the buyers here? The only reason I took buyers here, you could see price broke below this 5-minute demand, but I respect this 30-minute demand. And what did we do? We swept Asian lows here. We swept liquidity below these lows. So during London session, we swept the highs of Asian range. We came down and swept the lows. So the likelihood is we could probably see price continuing to the top side from this point. But we want to see what happens, you know, at this area of demand. You know, if price respects this zone, there could be like a low risk entry that I might look to take, purely because of the fact that I've already secured 2 trades today, 60 pips there and 75 pips there. So like this was a 10-hour trade and this was a 4.8-hour trade. So phenomenal risk to reward on the second position. So I might look to trade that if price comes down into this region here, which right now is reacting from the 70 to 79, but I'm not interested in where price is. We have this huge gap and we have this demand zone at the base of this. So as long as this supply, which I'm probably not expecting it to create a new low, because this supply failed to break below these lows on a 15-minute time frame. You know, you could see there was the lowest point. All we did is got that wick down, took out that liquidity and started to push back to the top side. I'm expecting price to respect this area pretty nicely, but we'll see what happens. Caught the sell, missed the buy. It's all good, Joe. Listen, catching one side of the move is, when I trade like this, I typically call that degenerate trading, because it's like, you know, you're like from one side, you're completely shifting your bias and taking the other side of the move, which if you know market structure, then it's fine. But I'm kind of kicking myself, because if I go into Awanda here, so I had Awanda, so look what you can see on Awanda. Look at these huge spikes over here. It was horrible. So I was seeing this on Awanda and I was like, what the hell is going on? Aggressive, big spikes, big spikes. So I ended up closing like 50% of my position up in this area of supply here. And I remember Awanda did this once before, so I was like, never again am I going to use Awanda for anything. US 30, yeah, we can have a look at US 30. Let's see what US 30 is doing. So US 30 is still bullish. We have this 4-hour. Let's see what we have actually. Let me just go to the left. What do I have marked up here? So we have this daily, I'm sure it's a daily, yeah, so we have this daily area of supply where price wicked into it once before, and we're reapproaching this area. Now if I refine this down, I'm sure on like a 4-hour time frame. What do we have? We actually, if I refine a 4-hour area of supply, I can come across to this region here. So you can see we had this aggressive selling here. So price is approaching this area. So, well, we're within that actually. We're within the 50% of that zone. You could perfectly see. So we could see some downside pressure. But currently, you know, price is just pretty much sideways. We had this huge move again. Price is pretty much sideways. So we could see price coming down here. But there's not much on other options instead of Oanda. Just use any other one, you know, whether you use 8 cap or whatever, it doesn't really matter. They're all more or less the same. It's all for charting purposes, but I would definitely stay away from Oanda now. That's the second time Oanda's done something like that. I'm just going to set an alert here for gold, just so I know if and when price comes into this area. So use anything else apart from Oanda. So US 30, so you know, I'm only going to be, you can see we've had this huge push on US 30. I am expecting a deeper retracement down into this area, or even a deeper move here. But we kind of need to see the current structure break. You know, I'm not keen on buying this in this area of demand, because we are in a high time frame supply zone here, as we already discussed. So what I'd like to see personally is price coming down, a failure of this, and then continuation. You know, lower time frame, what have we seen? Lower time frame, we kind of seen price do this, consolidate, and it's just pretty much sideways. So it's quite ugly price action. So personally, I'm gonna let it be until if we break this low, and then look to start shorting at least into like a unmitigated zone here. We got huge imbalance here, so we've got lots of gaps for price to come in and fill. So there's lots of trading opportunities, but I just want to see structure shift again. Internal, it's all messy. It's all too messy to try trading that. So that's what I see on US 30. AU, again, I covered this last night on the stream. Played out pretty nicely. We could definitely still see more upside into that area, but I wouldn't be keen on trading it from this point. You know, you'd at least want to see a retracement back into like an area of demand for the next push to the top side. See, we have this demand here. Definitely want to see price pulling back into that zone before the next push. So that was a nice 1 to 4.5 hour trade, which I kind of caught. You could see through the night price came back to my entry point, but then perfectly continued higher. So now from this internal structure perspective, we had this high, we had this low, we then had this high. So, you know, price shouldn't be breaking below this low, because this is the low that caused that previous high to break. So we kind of have this range. So we could see price come down and then see the next push to the top side, or price could just react from this supply here and come into the deeper demand zone before we see the next move. CAD CHF, not much in it. Like I said, I'm still waiting for price to come back to 0.65200 in order for me to trade this or get involved. So Euro AUD is in this area of demand. Can refine this here. Be interesting to see what price does. Can we see a break below and then a pullback into supply here and then continue shorting this? But I'm not keen on buying this from this point. Just again, I'm expecting a deeper correction, you know, because this is the zone here. That's the low to the high, pretty close to the 50%, but we have lots of inefficiency below for price to come back and mitigate. So I'll be expecting a deeper retracement. So Euro USD is working towards this. Again, yesterday I mentioned yesterday. I personally think we could definitely see from a longer term Euro USD heading back down towards this daily demand zone at 1.09189. To then see the next move up after we had this daily breaker structure. But before we kind of get to that, you know, we had this huge expansion. We kind of have this retracement phase. So what I'm looking for is price to come into this demand zone, see some structural shift, see price pull back into like 1.1800, and then see the next move down. So it really depends. You're in a counter trend trade, buy this back up from this zone with confirmation entry, or look to short if price gets back up into this region. So there's our high, 50% retracement low. So we could see price heading back into 1.12 before the next move. So that's my view on Euro USD. And then once we get into that daily retracement zone, which I believe, if we go to the higher time frame, sits down in this area here, I'll expect the pullback to be complete and then price to then continue higher from that point. So that is my view on Euro USD. But here and now, there's not much. I'm not looking to short this. I'm not looking to buy this. I would like to see price. Let's see this. Yeah, so I'd at least like to see price come into this area here, see some strong momentum, and then look to buy. But internally, you can see, because we had this huge expansion, internally we're creating these kind of ranges here. And currently, whatever, if it ends up being that, so you at least want to see a shift before you do anything with this. Again, that's my opinion. So GJ is in a bit of a funny position. Overall, I am expecting downside. Are we going to get a move up before we see? Are we going to see price go deeper into this pullback zone before we see a sell-off? We'll need to wait and see. You know, we have this move. We're currently in that retracement phase. So we had the high, pullback. So if we look at this low to the high, price came into this demand zone, but in this push down, we're kind of reacting to this. We could see price come in deeper here, so realistically it's pretty much sideways, so I'm not really keen. I'm more keen on shorting if we get back up into here, or if we kind of break the lows, and because price reacted to demand over here. So we should have really seen price shift bullish from this point and break above this high to do this and then continue down. But if we fail to do that, we could just sell off from this point. But we are in this sideways range now that I'm not really keen on buying or selling, to be fair. Pound USD, pretty similar thing. We're pretty close to this high time frame demand zone. We haven't yet reacted to this supply up here, so we could see price broke above this high, but we could see this as a liquidity sweep, and we have imbalance here, so we could see price move into that and continue down and then shift to go bullish. But right now I'm not buying this or selling this. NAS. Oh. Again, NAS is pretty horrible price action. You know, we just had this huge, massive run up. Price is very close to all-time highs again. This price is currently within this weekly doji candle. As you can see, price tapped into it a couple of times before. We're retesting that zone again, rejecting at that 50%. So again, we could see some downside for NAS from this point, but we're still bullish. You know, longer term we're still bullish. We currently have this range, we had that high, so we are in a pullback phase, but price action is pretty horrible, to be fair. So if I was to look to short this, I would at least need price to head back up into this region here, but it's just super ugly. You know, internally we had this pullback, we had that break, we had this pullback, we had that break, so we have had a shift, and we do have some unmitigated demand below, but I can't look to buy or sell where price is. I really need to see a retracement for price then to continue down. So overall intraday bearish for NAS, but need pullbacks. Need pullbacks. Gold is now just more or less consolidating. You know, we might not see gold come in that low, but where it is right now, I'm not keen on doing anything with it. We either get a pullback into this region and then see what happens, because we do have news today. Well, it's nearly 2 p.m. my time, so 3 p.m. UK time is when we have news. So we'll wait and see what happens during news. Hey DV. Is there any pairs anyone's looking at specifically? Silver, yeah, it's not something I've seen for a while, to be fair. Can you share single candle mitigation strategy? I'm not too sure what you're talking about. I don't use any single candle mitigation strategy. So silver, we could definitely see downside on silver from where it is. Huge range below. We had this original sell-off. Again, I would want to see at least a retracement back to like 25,000 psychological level. Before the next push down to like 23.2. Yeah, feel free to join our Discord. You know, I do sessions online in the Discord. Feel free to come in and check stuff out. If you have any questions, somebody can just pin the Discord link. It's free to join. Keeping an eye out on USDCHF, but no trades yet. USDCHF. Yeah, I'm guessing you're looking to trade it back down. Pretty much just in a range in USD CHF. I'm personally waiting to see if we can get a pullback into this region to go long again. Yeah, DXY is in this high time frame supply zone, as you can see in this 4-hour supply. So like I shared in Discord, I am personally expecting a drop here for DXY and then a continuation above, and that could fuel the likes of gold back to the top side, and same thing with like Euro USD, GU, AU. Give these trades like opportunities to start pulling back. So yeah, you could definitely see that, but I'd personally just say wait for, you know, some supply created. In order to short, if you want to short. Now again, typically when we see stuff like this, people just get overly eager and start buying. Yes, this can continue pushing up from here, but this can also just be a pool of liquidity where we see a reaction from like supply, and we see a deeper pullback here, sweep that liquidity, then eventually we shift above. John Lay, are you going through GU? Yeah, I did, Damish. If you just rewind the stream, you'll see my analysis on GU. Remember guys, if there's any pairs, just drop them in the chat and I'll have a look at them. NZD/USD. Let's have a look. So NZD USD, longer term we were bearish, and then we kind of had this strong bullish impulsive move where we marginally closed above this previous swing, nothing with real confidence, and then we started to enter a retracement phase. We had this pullback, had this move, but then here we had this bullish momentum shift. So I'm expecting price overall to head towards 0.65, that area of supply at first point. But internally we currently have this kind of range where price is pulling back from. So price, I'm going to delete that here. So price has reacted from our fib confluence. So what I would like to see from price, we're currently within this area of supply here. So if you could see a break above and then a nice pullback, I would look for continuation buys. Overall bullish buys on this pair. Again, we had this huge expansion, retracement, and this is the reversal point. But you want to see some buying pressure coming in and supply failing. Because right now price has reacted to this supply zone here, and we're selling off. So we could see a deeper move down before we see the next push up. Or if price reacts from this demand, as long as we break above and pull back, then we could look for continuations to the top side. So overall, looking for buys. Now look, what did I say about gold? I said that about gold. You know, this low could act as a liquidity point, induce early buyers into the market. All we got was a reaction from supply here, and price started to sell off. It's a tough one, Kobev. Like if if it starts pushing up from here, I'm not interested. If it taps into this demand, then I'll maybe be interested, like low risk. But we're pretty much sideways. You know, internally we're still bearish, creating lower lows and lower highs. And then we came here, we failed to take out this low, so we could see price continuing higher. And this is the pullback region here. But in the same breath, the 4 hours due a pullback after the 4 hour break. So we have this range here that we're working. So we could see a failure of this now. We've already reacted to this here. So we could see price selling off and then continuing down. So we are in a key area. You know, so safer buyers are really, if we see some structural shift, if we see a break above this internal swing high, or buyers here, definitely risky. I don't really look at DXY in that perspective in terms of like micromanage DXY. I don't look at DXY exactly where it is and then base my trade. I've never done that. DXY is just a point of reference for me. And yeah, it has a gap, but that can eventually get filled. It doesn't mean it has to go there now. You know, you could see a pullback from this supply zone and then a continuation up. So we just got to be careful. But yeah, it is risky buys. Even though you're aligning yourself with the higher time frame, so buyers are less risky than sells. But I'm anticipating a 4 hour retracement at some point, so we could see that. So safer buyers are a break above and then a pullback. But if price does come down into this extreme demand at 1.54 then I'll probably be interested. Right, everyone, I hope you have a decent day. Short stream. If you want to look at what my thoughts on some of the rest of the pairs, just go back and watch the stream. But yeah, I'll be done for the day. Have a good one, and I'll catch